Hey guys, it's Shannon. So I have a build for you today. I'm going to be using some of my scrap wood to build a fall crate to hold some pumpkins for fall decor. Now of course I'm going to be using scrap wood, but you can also use 1x6s and 1x2s, which are really inexpensive from your local hardware store. So let's get started on this project. So here are my scrap pieces of wood. These are sort of pieces that aren't really good enough to be using for wood signs. They have some pretty ugly knots in them, and this one has a little bit actually missing out of it. So I still hang on to them for projects like this because I always get ideas and then I'm like, oh, I could use that wood for it. And so I have 3 1x6s here and then 2 of these smaller 1x2s, but they're all going to get cut down, and I'll include all of the measurements as I work through this project. I'm using my miter saw here to cut down the pieces. I cut the ends off to square them up, and I also cut off some of those bad pieces that I didn't want part of this project, and then cut them all down to size. So here's the first 2 pieces that I cut. They are the 1x6s cut down to 13 inches long, and then the 1x2s I cut in half, so I ended up with 4, and these I cut to 7 inches long. And now these are going to be the sides, this is going to be the bottom, and then I'm going to cut this last 1x6 down to fit the end pieces. Here I'm just mock setting up my wood. I'm not bracing it or piecing it together yet. I'm just setting it to where I can measure the opening space to measure for my end pieces. And then I just used that third 1x6 that I had and cut that down to size. I needed 2 end pieces. And here are all the pieces that I needed. I already went through these here. And then the end 2 pieces ended up being 5 1/4 inches long. And I'm gonna go ahead and sand all these pieces down with 80 grit sandpaper using my orbital sander. Alright, so I'm back. It's the next day. I've let the wood cure overnight so that we can get to building, which is my favorite part. And I also wanted to share this cool new gadget that I have. It is a glue bot. I am not sponsored. I've just heard really good things about it. It holds a lot of glue and it's not supposed to clog. So today's gonna be the first time I'm gonna be trying that out. So let's get to building. So I have all my pieces laid out here. I'm going to be attaching it all with 1 1/4 inch brad nails and my brad nailer, like I said, the wood glue. And how I'm going to do this is, these are the side pieces. So I'm going to join the side pieces together first using these smaller pieces, which are the bottom, and then I'll go back in and add the end pieces. So I'm building this upside down. The bottom is actually the top right now. So I started with those bottom brace pieces and attached the top and the bottom pieces first, so they were flush with the all 4 of the sides, and then sort of just eyeballed the middle 2 pieces and made sure they were kind of evenly spaced. The brad nailer does make this process go quite a bit faster, but if you don't have a brad nailer, of course you can also just use a hammer and nails as well. Now for the end pieces, I used wood glue on the inside edges and the bottom of the existing box, and then sort of held it in place and added nails to the sides and then onto the bottom. Then I just flipped it over and repeated that process for the other side. So here's the box all built, and before I get to that, I thought I'd insert a quick review of this. So far I really like it, as long as it doesn't clog, it's doing its job. So far so good. And then as far as the box goes, the only thing I think I would change is I'd probably add one more of these bottom pieces in there, just so things don't fall through so easily. However, I just used scraps pieces, so I didn't want to pull out of my regular pile to add another one. And it's just decorative anyway, so for me it's fine, but if you'd like to really be able to carry things or set things down in there, I think I would add at least one more of those bottom pieces. So now I'm going to take it upstairs, kind of give it a rustic look, and add a stencil, so let's get to that. Alright, so let me tell you a little bit about the stencil. It is available in my Etsy shop, which is crossofmyheart.com. If you want to recreate this project, or this would even be really cute on a wood sign. But if you do have a vinyl cutter, this is 8 inches wide by 5 inches tall, and I'll insert the fonts here too. The pumpkins, I would say just use whatever kind of pumpkins you can find or trace. This is my own kind of design. So if you order it from the Etsy shop, obviously you'll get exactly this. But you can also make your own version of it as well. And then I'm going to be using Waverly chalk paint in the color white and a foam paintbrush on top of the stencil. And then I'm actually going to be using that same paint to give this a whitewash look, to sort of distress it and make it a little bit more rustic looking. It's really simple to apply stencils using the Aura Mask 813 material. You just remove that top transfer sheet from the paper backing, and then you want to make sure you take the time to center it and line it up so it's nice and straight on your piece. And then once you have that ready to go, you just squeegee it down and remove that top transfer sheet, and it's ready to go. Here I am adding the white chalk paint with my foam paintbrush, just using an up and down dabbing motion, and this helps prevent paint bleed. I also did 2 coats of this to make sure I had good coverage. Once it was completely dry, then I was able to remove that stencil. Of course, you could leave your wood sign or your crate just as it is. However, I really wanted to give it more of a rustic and roughed up look, so I'm just using a dry brush technique, using that same paintbrush I did for the stenciling. And you don't want a whole lot of paint, you just kind of want to wisp it on, hit those edges nice and good so they look extra weathered. And you can do 1 coat of this, you can do 2 coats of this, and just get a technique and look that you want. And here's a look at the finished pumpkin crate. Of course, I added some mini pumpkins to it, as well as some fall leaves. You could style this so many different ways, adding some old books or some candlesticks, and use it as a centerpiece. It would be beautiful on a mantle. Let me know in the comments below, where would you add this? I'm very tempted to add this to my front porch. I hope that this tutorial inspired you. Make sure to give it a thumbs up so I can continue bringing you DIY tutorials. You can also share this with your friends and family and inspire them too. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I do DIY tutorials every single Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Hit the bell as well so that you're one of the first to see when my videos do go live. And I want to thank you all so much for watching. Bye guys!